Call the studio at 572-9710 or WhatsApp 287-0971. Call the office at 572-0383 or 572-0215. Rev-Up St. Lucia, the alpha of radio.
It's now time for Meet the Opposition, hosted by Leonard Spider Montut. Mr. Montut, it's good to see you again.
Yes, Andre, good morning to you. Good morning to all our viewers and listeners, whether you on radio or on live stream. We welcome you to another episode of Meet the Opposition. As I always say, meet the government in waiting. And today for you, we have a very interesting program because I have a guest, a special guest, and that is Senator Dr. the Honorable Ferropolius, who will be joining us shortly. But before we do so, there are one or two matters that I want to go into. And so, well, let me just say that I'm hoping that you have had a good week so far, and that, everything goes well for the upcoming weekend. We seem to have had a very good weekend, and of course, this upcoming weekend is Journée Creole weekend, so let's have a very festive but peaceful weekend. So, Andre, I will open up with the seven UWP SOS policies, what we refer to as the seven from heaven. And as you would be aware, at the last massive rally that the UWP had in the constituency of Micoud North, the political leader, Honorable Alan Chasney, revealed some plans that the United Workers' Party has, that upon assuming office that they will implement to improve the quality of life for St. Lucians, and to make life more bearable, and to make the country more secure. And if I can just quickly go through them, because we have to keep reminding our voters, because I think they are going to be very impactful and going to make a massive difference compared to what we are experiencing now. So first of all, I'm not going through them in any particular order, but I'm just going to mention the seven. One, it was revealed that within the first 30 days upon assuming office, that measures would be taken to reduce the gas prices. And that is in light of the fact that for the last four years or more, we have been paying very high, exorbitant prices on fuel at the pumps. Meanwhile, the price of oil on the international market has plummeted and is very low, but that is not reflected at the pump here in St. Lucia. So much so that at one point, gas went up to $17.95 a gallon, and today it is still high at $16 a gallon. Whereas during the reign of the United Workers' Party, the price of gas was higher than what it is now, but at the pump, the price was $13.95. So the United Workers' Party knows how to do it. They have done it before, and they're promising upon their return, they will reduce the price. Now, what is the significance of this? Gas influences just about everything, in our lives in terms of the cost of living, because transportation costs will be impacted. Every good and even some of the services that you receive involves transportation, and so that cost is factored in at the end of the day as a consumer when you have to pay. Another thing that was done is we know that we had a very high inflation worldwide, I must admit, but then when the Prime Minister was called upon to do something about the high cost of living, implement policies to give St. Lucians a reprieve, his excuse was that the high prices were imported and that there was nothing that he could do. Meanwhile, he made the situation worse by imposing on you, in a deceitful manner, by the way, a 2.5 levy that was imposed on all goods and services that immediately increased the price of everything, including food, that they said that it would not have affected. And so the UWP is saying that as soon as they resume office, within 30 days, they will remove the 2.5% levy on St. Lucians. That, ladies and gentlemen, will immediately give you some reprieve with regard to the high cost of living. There is also something for the younger people, and the policy is that they will make attendance at the Sir Arthur Lewis Community College free. You will not have to pay any tuition or anything like that. All you will require is the ability, and you will get a place at the Sir Arthur Lewis Community College free of charge. That makes a big difference when it comes to making tertiary education accessible to all St. Lucians. Of course, we know that one of our big crises in St. Lucia today is our security, crime, especially homicides. We have seen record numbers of homicides in this country year after year under the St. Lucia Labour Party, and in particular under the stewardship of Philip J. Pierre, who is the Minister of National Security. And we are saying that measures must be put in place because, these are not enviable records. These are not the kinds of records we want to set. These are not the areas in which we want growth. So, measures will be put in place to improve our border control, where the guns, the illegal drugs, and money is coming into St. Lucia. Laundered money is coming into St. Lucia. And so that will be improved, as well as the reinstatement of a full K9 unit, not just at our seaports, but our airports, and for the policemen who patrol, doing roadblocks and so on. So that is a very important development to my mind in terms of restricting the amount of guns that are coming into this country, because every gun that comes into this country puts your life and mine at risk. Even if we are not involved in illicit activities or in gangs, we know that many innocent people have perished as a result of the gun wars that are taking place on our streets. Ladies and gentlemen, the sixth one is what I think is justifiable. It is a pension plan for our retired banana farmers, whether or not they paid NIC. We owe them that, I believe, because these are the people in the late 70s, 80s, and even up to the 90s who built this country on green gold. And they have made their contribution in building our country, and so we have to show our appreciation by giving back something. And some of them now who cannot work, who can no longer can farm, should get a pension. For those who have died, it is promised that their families will get a lump sum to show appreciation for the contribution, the work that they have done. We also have the dam dredging fee. There is a fee on your Wasco bill, I think it's 10%, where you pay for the dredging of the John Compton Dam, which is in Roseau, somewhere around Millet. We are saying that the people in the south do not receive water from the Roseau Dam. They do not benefit from that project, and as such, it is unfair to have them pay that 10%. So people in the south, I imagine from Ancillary on the west coast going down, and from Dennery on the west coast, and Dennery on the east coast going down, you will no longer have to pay. Again, a measure that will reduce the cost of living for you. And finally, Andre, I deliberately left this one for last. This is the one I think that is most impactful and will affect every single St. Lucian, and the one I embrace and welcome the most. That is the NHI, National Health Insurance. And the United Workers' Party is giving a commitment that upon assuming office, they will continue the work that they had already begun in putting in place a national health insurance so as to provide health coverage and access to every single St. Lucian. As a matter of fact, the coverage will be up to $75,000 where surgery or advanced care is needed for St. Lucians. And, the Labour Party is trying to attack it, knowing how impactful it is, and trying to suggest that where we're going to get $75,000 for every St. Lucian. We know that's not how insurance works. For example, I've always said there are just about 1,300 police officers. They have an insurance policy where they get coverage where if a police officer dies during the course of duty, his family will receive $300,000. If he dies a natural death, they will receive $100,000. And there is also coverage for injury and so on. The point is they only pay $75 a month for that insurance. Because, Andre, we don't have any police officer dying every day. And that's how insurance works. One pays for the other, because you, Andre, you look like a fit fella that always in the gym. You may not even use up $1,000 for the year. I may use up $10,000 out of my $75,000. And a more elderly person or someone who has a catastrophic health issue may use up the $75,000. That is how it works. It is there if you need it, but that doesn't mean we would ever make use of it. The younger person may not take a dollar out of it. So to try to fool people into thinking that's impossible, you are talking about over 100,000 people in an insurance plan. So that is quite easy, quite feasible, and it has been worked out. And already before we had left office, we had engaged insurance firms, to work on that. So these are 7 policies. They call it the 7 SOS policies. That is the 7 policies to save our St. Lucia. Those of us who really love it, like myself, call it the 7 from heaven.
Forgive me, Mr. Montut, I was distracted for a little second there, but when you spoke about, I think, number 5 on crime, what exactly was it?
Border control and bringing back the K9 units.
Okay.
The K9 unit will also be part of border control too, because they will be sniffing out the things that are coming in, and so on. But they also, the K9 unit will also contribute to inland activities of the police, like roadblocks and so on, and search your cars and so on, where the police may not detect, the dogs will detect, And so
one of these days it would be good if you can get an opportunity to really explain how the National Health Insurance Plan would work,
because
it's a little confusing.
What I will do is bring the party spokesperson on that.
Beautiful.
So that he can, elaborate on it.
Because you're right, and the government is hitting that, saying that it's almost impossible.
Right. Well, you see, I'm not surprised that they think it is impossible. They do not have the vision, on the foresight to understand how that is going to work. So, but we want to make it work. Because when Sir John Compton was trying to put the NIC, which was National Provident Fund at the time, in place, they opposed it too. And they said it would be thieving people money and all that kind of thing. Today, people who have reached the age of pension are thankful that that was put in place. Well, that's the Labour Party. They oppose everything that is good for the country, including development.
Sorry, can you remember who were the persons in the party at the time who were opposing that idea about the national NIC? Can you remember who was that?
I'd be a toddler then, but
because that was way before my time.
Yeah, but that would be people like Kenneth Foster and those people of the
era. All right, yes. Mm-hmm.
So, before I call on my guests, there is a matter I just want to touch on.
Sorry to disturb you.
Yeah.
But again, isn't that what an opposition is supposed to do? Just oppose?
No. If you're going to oppose, give a better option. But when things are, you don't oppose the good things clearly that are beneficial to the country. You don't oppose that. You just do not oppose for the sake of opposing.
Mm-hmm.
You hold the government accountable, but you don't just oppose for the sake of opposing. And meanwhile, they're not opposition, and the government, they're the ones who should be coming up with those plans for the people. But since they're bereft of ideas, we are coming up with it. So,
And I must admit, I have to remind, you and our listeners and viewers, that the 5 to stay alive, every promise was kept.
Everyone was kept.
That's a fact.
And so, what one has done, one can do, and you can expect one to do. So that is why I have confidence in these here. Now, Andre, I'm not being selfish, but we all check out the gas thing, Andre. I burn a lot of gas. I travel up and down a lot. That will benefit me. The 2.5 will benefit everybody. The dam dredging fee, that's not for me, but I think it's justified. I'm in the north. I benefit. I will continue to pay. The border control, that's a big thing for me, Andre. That's about, people talk about security and safety. I bit further than that. It has to do with my freedom. I don't like the idea that, if I say I'm going down wherever at 2 o'clock in the morning, tell me, boy, be careful and that kind of thing. It's too dangerous to do it. Or even like what happened in Beaufort. The fellas shut down the city town boldface at one point, so much so that even now, by 6 o'clock, Beaufort is a ghost town. I do appreciate that. That's infringing on my freedom. And the banana pension, Andre, I never grew a banana plant. Not even one that grew in my yard by
accident.
So, but the NHI, again, for all of us, and, especially, Andre, when you are where I am in terms of age, you're more health conscious because you're more likely to have health issues. And so...
Yes, and it's really important because, again, the NIC, when you start collecting your pension, the NIC doesn't help you with
That's
your
right.
medical issues
That's
at
right.
that point.
Yeah, and Andre, I mean, the indignity
And for
of
some people, the NIC payments are very, very,
Very
very
small,
low.
yeah.
So we need something like that, whether it's by your administration or the current one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But we know the current one will not do it, so we will do it.
Right.
So, Andre, you know, the indignity of, you know, if I find myself having a serious medical issue, like Andre can make a contribution going around with sheets and raffle and barbecue. Meanwhile, I'm waiting for you to make a decision if you're going to contribute a little $5 and so on. Andre, I'm getting worse. That should be a thing of the past. I think, you know, we should be above that as a country. We should be beyond that and don't put our people through that. Unfortunately, Andre, many of us do not make preparations for it. And even when we try to sometimes, it can be so catastrophic that it can wipe out everything that you have. That should be a thing of the past. So, Andre, let me go on a little more personal note now. You know, of late, it appears to me that I have become Keith Monday's obsession. And so I was told that he was on Yadi. I tuned in to hear some of what he was saying. And so, you know, when people attack my integrity and my reputation, I will respond. I promise that. If I don't, it's because I don't know. And so, you know, he complained that I prevented him from gaining access. I am prevented him from getting access to my talk shows, that when he calls, you know, I don't take his call. And when he gets through, that I cut him off. Now, I'll tell you, on my other talk show, not this one, he has gotten through a couple times, but he makes some outlandish, outrageous statements. And what I try to do is to engage him. But he refuses to allow that. He just speaks over me and goes on. Now, Andre, it's my show. I'm not going to allow that. You know, you're not going to take over my show to push Labour Party propaganda. So if you want to do that, let me debunk it and expose it. But he wouldn't allow. So, I mean, he's not the one controlling the show. I am. And I'm not the one who take the calls, Andre. When people call here, I don't know who's calling, who's not calling. The same thing applies to my other show. It is the technical people who take the calls and put the calls through. So I don't know what he's talking about. But, you know, since Keith, I call him Keith, he was a colleague of mine. I mean, we know each other very well, so forgive me, I say Keith, right? So Keith, who has been renamed by the St. Lucia Labour Party as Monday Zod, you would know that, you know. He has been hired by the SLP to spew propaganda in exchange for a statutory board appointment. And so he believes that I must tolerate his diatribes unchallenged and allow him to take over my shows as a platform for him to justify his worth to the St. Lucia Labour Party. Now, fair enough, he figures, well, you know, he wants to justify it, but he cannot use my show for that. They have umpteen shows. Here alone, they have how many? 300? You know, and every other station in this country, they have shows. So go there and do that. Not on my show. So, you know, if he wishes to engage in a civil discussion without trying to talk over me and bully his way into having his say without me challenging what he says, he will not succeed. I'm saying that plainly. He will not succeed. He wants to have an exchange. Never mind what he's saying is contrary to the agenda that I'm pushing. I'm willing to engage him because I believe that I can defend what I'm saying, and I will challenge him to defend what he's saying. That is how it will be if he wants to be a part of my show. So now I will clear the air on some of the allegations, some of the claims that he has made, false claims, mind you, in some cases. And one of them is that in 2001, when I first came onto the political scene, when I say on the political scene as a candidate, you know, there was the alliance. You remember that the UWP joined with George Odlum and, you know, some other forces and formed a new party called the Alliance. So during the time that UWP was a part of the Alliance, I had just returned from studying at the time, and I was being asked to be a candidate, and I was being looked upon as a potential candidate for the Alliance. So George Odlum, who was one of the leaders, you would remember the famous, what they call three-headed beast, there was Sir John, who came back in to form part of that alliance out of retirement. There was Morella Joseph, who was the leader of the United Workers' Party, and there was George Odlum, who was leading a faction and Woolcott. So before the leadership was actually settled, which is one of the disputes that caused the breakup of it anyway, but there were like the three leaders. So George Odlum, as one of the leaders, I think had gotten some cars from Korea. And so he distributed the cars to potential candidates, you know, who needed them because, like I said, and he, to do the campaigning, that would have begun by then. So I was given one of those cars by George Odlum. I was given the car, and I had to register the car and insure the car. The car was registered and insured in my name. However, disagreements arose, and the alliance, as it was then, broke up. I say as it was then because when it broke up, George Odlum remained with his alliance. UWP went back on their own, and Sir John went back into retirement. But I decided, since I came in as UWP, I would remain with UWP, okay, and I would not be running with George Odlum's alliance. I felt the right thing to do, since he was the one who had given the vehicle for campaigning purposes. I wouldn't take the vehicle to campaign for the UWP when the man has his party and so on. I returned the vehicle to George Odlum voluntarily before being asked to do so. I remember getting a change of ownership, filling out the change of ownership. I left out the names, I didn't know who he wanted to give it to, but I signed and put all the relevant information, brought it back to him, gave him his keys. Okay? I recall, and he's still alive now, Clarence Rambali. In speaking to him, I told him what I was about doing and so on. He said to me, but the car belongs to you. He gave it to you, and it's registered in your name, it's insured in your name. I said, no. There were conditions under which it was given to me. He didn't just watch me and give me a car because he loved me. It's because I was part of an arrangement, an organization to do campaigning for the alliance. I'm no longer part of the alliance, so I'm going to return it, which I did. But Mondays he came on the program saying that I refused to return the car. And in the end, he and whoever else had to come after me and force me to give the car. That is not true. As a matter of fact, if Mondays he recalls correctly, and I wish George Odlum was still alive to corroborate what I'm saying, but there are people who are alive who know. He is making a big mistake here. Okay? The candidate who refused to return the car was Edmond Estefan, not me. Okay? And you see, I'm not telling you this, Andre, and I'm calling names as well. Okay, so I wasn't the one. So that is a fabrication. Then I made a revelation.
So what's the point in him bringing that up?
Because he's trying to Stephen King said that I am greedy. And so he was saying I'm greedy and selfish. That's the point Mondays he was making. Okay, so I made the revelation that I was offered $2 million to become an independent candidate, in fact, to do what Stephen King did. And I turned it down. So he went on air saying how he does not know that I'm a millionaire, and so from how somebody will offer you $2 million and you'll turn it down. Yes, Keith, I am not a millionaire, but what I have is integrity. I am not for sale. And so the $2 million, albeit, was offered to me, but I believe in character, and it is how principled people operate, not to put themselves up for sale.
So if I may ask, what, the Labour Party offered you $2 million?
Not the Labour Party, surrogate.
Oh, the surrogates. Oh, I see.
Like I said, I made it clear when I said it, I'm not telling you for you to believe that it was Philippe Pierre or anybody.
Okay, all right.
As a matter of fact, I heard Jaime on the Zafenu program asking, who is the person? Jaime, is easy for you to find out. The same person who went to Stephen King is the person who made me the offer. So, there are those of us, Andre, who cannot be bought, but sadly, there are those who, in spite of their net worth, are for sale. And when I say in spite of their net worth, whether they're rich or poor, they are for sale. There are people who have money, but they are for sale.
Sorry. Sorry. Do you think they really had that kind of money? Or that was just maybe just a lie, just to
Andre,
get you to agree?
Fight to remain in office as they do. Why do you think politicians hang on, through thick and thin? You think it's just only because of the
love of country,
the accolade, the name of the country, or you? Don't fool yourself about that. That's not the only reason. There are some who are there. There are many who are there for other purposes, for other reasons, for self-aggrandizement, for personal self-interest, and so on. So I just want to say, what Keith said suggests to me that he would have taken the offer. He didn't say that, but what he said. So who would not accept it? Meaning it suggests to me that he would have taken it had he been the one. That would indicate what he is worth. While refusing to be bought is a demonstration of one's value. Okay? Your words strongly suggest, Keith, that you have a price, but bear in mind, integrity is priceless. And that is the point I want to make to Keith. And you see, some of the things people do is not, you see, because they're rich or poor. It's because of their character, because they lack principle, because they have no integrity. And so, I want to speak directly to Keith Mondesi and to say to him that you are the same one, with all your wealth, who embarrassed a government, a Stephenson King administration, with tuxedo villas. And you would remember that case when Keith Mondesi refused to pay the duties that he was supposed to have paid. And we're talking for a couple $1,000s with all his wealth. Okay? A person with integrity would not have done that. Okay? And I also remember too that when the Moroccan government gave St. Lucia bags of fertilizers to distribute to farmers after Thomas, it was alleged that the only farmer that you, Keith, could have found in your constituency was a farmer called Keith Mondesi. Take that away to me what you want. So when Keith complains that though he was on my platform and he supported me in 2016, I didn't offer him a place on a statutory board. That is true. But not everything he said that is a lie. That is true. But let me just explain. One key criteria for consideration in my book, before I can consider you, Andre, to be a board member on any statutory body that I am responsible for as a minister, is integrity. Okay? Not political support. I have worked with Keith Mondesi. I know enough about Keith Mondesi. And so, no, I did not appoint him on any board.
Just to be sure, he said on the same show you're talking about,
yes,
that
though he was one of the few people who supported me,
right,
he came on my platform, but after election I didn't even offer him a place on a board.
And he actually came out with that?
Yes.
But that is just so silly.
No, that tells you who he is and what he is about, because he supported the Labour Party in the last election and he is on a board. That's what it's about. So if you want to question me when I tell you some people are just there for what they can get, that is an example. Okay. So he also denied that he had been, well, I said that when the time came after Sir John's death for us to settle the issue of leadership, to see who would become Prime Minister, I said that if I wanted to be, I knew what I could have done. And in saying so, I mentioned that I could have offered Keith Mondesi additional portfolios, because he was one of the deputies. He was never considered, mind you, but he was one of the deputies, and he was just Minister of Health. And he also always was, I don't use the word bitching, I want to use a more appropriate word. He was always griping about the fact that as a deputy, he should have a more substantial portfolio, and look at people like Osbert, who didn't even contest election with all the portfolios that he has. Okay, so my guest,
your guest is arriving
right now. So I will just take a little moment before we end to just welcome my guests. Please have a seat.
This is Meet the Opposition.
That's right.
With Mr. Leonard Spider-Montut.
Okay, and as I said before, my guest is Dr. the Honorable Ferrapolius, who is a UWP senator, and he will join us in a moment. Let me just close off with what I was saying. So I was saying, Andre, that Dr. Mondesi only had the portfolio health, and he felt that others, and if you remember at that time, Osbert Dovin had administrative long tail, right? Public service, economic development, all of those things, planning and all of that. So Mondesi felt as a deputy, he should have a more substantial portfolio. And so I said that if I wanted his support, all I had to do was to promise him that, and I said what I could have promised others if I want. And that is what Stephenson King did, why he got their support and became Prime Minister. I said that was transactional, and I would not have been a part of that. So he was reacting to that when he said that that was not true. So I don't want to argue over that, Andre, because it's the past. And, there's hardly a way of actually fully substantiated. But what I want to do here, is to simply ask Mondesi to explain the interesting coincidence that immediately, and that is public knowledge, immediately after the Prime Ministership was settled, he went from Minister of Health to Minister of Health, Wellness, Family Affairs, Human Services, Gender Relations, and National Mobilization. You see the long tail he had all of a sudden? Okay, that happened immediately upon Stephenson King becoming Prime Minister. Explain that. I don't just say things, out of the blue, So much so that I remember saying to Keith, in effect, the only portfolios you got was Family Affairs, Human Services, and Gender Relationships. He asked me, what do I mean? I say, well, I know you don't understand government, but these actually exist. But wellness and national mobilization does not exist. Yeah, I say that's just in name, Keith. Because, Andre, where was the office? Okay, who were the officials? Okay, what was the job description for those portfolios? He just had those portfolios in him, and he didn't realize that was just a bluff they put on him. You wanted a long tail, they gave you a long tail. And so, I don't want to belabor that too much. I've made my point, but I just want to say, do not come and try to make me out as a liar when I know what I'm saying. Okay, because I can substantiate what I'm saying. So that's for Mondesi to chew on, and that's for me to move on.
Let me just make a quick comment, Mr. Montu. It seems when one is in a party, right, one really has to walk the straight and narrow. One has to be really extremely careful. You have to be like some kind of lion, watching your left, watching your right. Because if you don't do that, man, it's really, really, I shouldn't say it's surprising, but it's just sad to hear people who once friends and so on, things were said in private and all.
We're still friends, when I meet Mondays, I talk to him still. The point is...
You still friends?
Yes. I'm not vexed or upset with him. We just have to set the record straight. But you have to be accountable when you're in those positions. And you see, we cannot allow people to do things and tomorrow forget it because it's a past or anything like that. Your past is an indication of what you're capable of and what can be expected of you.
But it also says, Mr. Montu, that you can't trust anybody. You just can't trust anybody.
That's not about trust.
No, what I'm saying is that when things are discussed in private, I'm not saying blaming you anything. I'm just saying when things are discussed in private, you are part of an entity, and you should figure there's certain things you should feel free to say.
In case you're worried, you have never heard me reveal, and I would have spent 5 years working with those individuals. You never heard me reveal anything of their private business. Don't think we have not discussed, and they know of my private business too. You never hear me talk about those things or reveal those things. That's matters of public interest, So why shouldn't St. Lucians know how the prime ministership was decided upon, how Stephenson became prime minister? Why shouldn't they know that? You know what I'm saying? And so I had cause to say it because Stephenson King made a comment about me. It was provoked.
Well, that's the point I'm making. That's the point I'm making. It seems as though when you're in the political sphere, you can't trust anybody. That's the impression I'm getting.
Well, it's not about trust anybody. When you're in a political affair, you must trust yourself to do what's right.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Because
I'm going to be extremely careful.
I'm not saying anything here was right or wrong. I just, according to my principles, some things here, while I could have done it, went against the grain of what I stand for, against my principles. I was not about to make deals with people to become Prime Minister of St. Lucia. That's what I was saying, and so, So, Andre, well, if you become a politician, do what's right. That's all you have to do, and you need not to worry. Because, I'm not worried.
Yeah, but the thing is, okay, it's just like you have a lady in your life, for example, okay, or a best buddy. And, you feel free. You're supposed to feel free to say certain things, and you expect that person to be mature enough not to repeat certain things. Even if you don't say to the person, don't repeat that, huh?
Right.
You're supposed to know what to repeat and what not to repeat.
Yeah, but that's
and I see right now you have all these people who are supposedly either leaders or former leaders.
You cannot equate your personal life with public life, Andre. It's different. When you enter public life...
as you said a while ago, integrity is integrity.
Yes.
Yeah. Whether it's in public or private.
When you enter public life, your life becomes an open book. And I have boundaries. Well, your bedroom business and so on is your business. Other than that and maybe one or two other things, your life ought to be on... Andre, I have a right to find out about your health status if you offering yourself to represent me. Right now, I'm out of place to ask you that question if I'm not on a level with you. So let's understand that clearly. When people talk about you, Andre, the student loan you took how many years ago to go to New York to do media, whatever it was you did, Andre, that is not my business. Tomorrow, you say you want to run for Castries North, it becomes my business. the fact that you never paid that loan. Well, I'm not saying you. I hope the listeners are not thinking that I'm saying Andre took a loan. You know? But I'm saying if that's the case, it becomes my business. Because that tells me what kind of person you are, whether I can trust you with the resources of my country, my tax dollars, making plans for my future, and whether I can rely on you to live up to your word and to your responsibility.
But here's what I'm saying, Mr. Montoud.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we are friends.
Yeah.
And you know that I did not repay a loan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but we're in the same party. You know that about me,
Mm-hmm.
right? But you figure, okay, well, I mean, that's his private business. If somebody else brings it up, no problem. But then something goes wrong, and then now either you or somebody else who knows now is going to bring that out there all of a sudden.
In the case of Lisa Jawari, who is in that situation, you know what went wrong? She never made one payment and left the guy carrying a bag. So, friends, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever it is, that's not enough for me to speak up and say something. And it is in the interest of this country.
But don't you think
if
you know that and you're close to her, you should say to her, hey, this is not right? Instead of wait, I'm not talking about you directly. I'm saying instead of waiting now for an opportune time, because now maybe you're on opposing sides now to bring it up.
Let's deal with actual situations. We have a case before us where, according to the letter I read, it is being said that the lady is not responding to the man's communication. She has cut out communication with him. So what do you expect him to do?
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about what happens when you have people who are friends. Mm. You're friends, and you know certain things, and you wouldn't say it unless, of course.
Let's put it this way, Andrew.
Let me hear.
I've spent 25 years in politics. Yeah, one of the fellows there, maybe I say, Gasson, I just saw a message on my phone that they're going to cut my electricity bill. I have no money on me right now. Mm-hmm. Lend me $100.
Right.
I don't expect that to go. That's between you and I. Especially if I repaid you. Okay, I do expect you to say I want to lend.
Especially if you didn't repay me.
No,
but I don't say anything. But hold on. But I don't say anything. But because now we're on opposing sides, I'm going to bring it out. That's what I'm talking about.
Not because we're on opposing sides. Because I offer myself for public office. You should let people know. Because that's the thing. Because we are facilitators and enablers when we don't. We know that Spider is not good as a public figure, to be a public figure, to be trusted with our resources, and you say nothing. You allow me to go there and to steal the people's money and to misuse and misappropriate.
So you're saying whenever you put yourself up for public office, anything is fair game?
Not anything.
Not anything.
But those things are fair game. It is appropriate for you to be scrutinized, okay, and for you to be asked questions about your character and so on. If I never went into politics, Andre, and you come and ask me if I ever smoked marijuana, that's not your damn business. And then put damn in it to emphasize.
Right.
Okay? Right now, okay, if I say to you I want to represent Grozily, you probably are a Rasta man, you're interested in knowing where I stand on the issue, or some other person who strongly against it, that might determine where they vote. They ought to know. They ought to know. And if I lie about it, Andre, you guys who smoke with me should say that's not true. Because I'm misleading people. And that's how I look at it. That's how I look at it. You know? And so, at the end of the day, we cannot be covering up too much, because that is enabling and facilitating crooked people becoming public officials. And when we get what we get, we complain afterwards when we knew and could have avoided it. So that's all I'm saying.
I get you.
All right. So, Andre, I don't want to keep my guests waiting any longer, because usually when I have guests, I get messages saying I don't want to hear you, it's the guest I want to hear. So before it starts, let me welcome Senator Polius to meet the opposition. Is that your first time?
Yes, actually, it's my very first time.
Okay.
And let me say good morning to St. Lucia and all our loyal listeners and viewers. It's really a pleasure to be here.
And let me welcome you officially.
Thank you.
Ms. Polius. I think it's the first time I'm actually meeting you. So it's a pleasure to see you.
It's a pleasure.
Andre, you have to say Farrah Polius. Huh?
Oh, what? I'm confused.
You always have a Miss Polius.
Well, let me say that I would prefer, well, I have two names. There's Angelina and Farrah. In academia, I prefer Angelina Polius because that's how I'm known. In politics, Farrah is okay.
All right.
Are you related to Mary Polius, by any chance?
I'm not sure. Maybe. We carry the same
Probably so. Probably so.
And you know, Andre, if I ask her to introduce herself, there are things she'll leave out. So if she wants to, she can, but I want to tell you, she has a doctorate, a PhD. I know she wouldn't say so, so I'm saying so. You know, and she's in the field of education. She is a lecturer, and she's. Are you still at South Louis Community College?
Yes, I am currently.
Currently, okay.
Teaching at the
Right.
South Louis Community College.
So that's, and she was a former candidate of the United Workers' Party. That's all I'll say. If there's anything else she wants to say, she'll have to say it herself. So.
Okay, so but just to add to what you said, that in addition to teaching at Sir Arthur Lewis Community College, I mean, teaching is my passion. This is my forte. I have been in the teaching service for more than 3 decades.
And what do you teach at Sir Arthur?
Communication studies. But prior to that, when I was permanent at Sir Arthur, I taught teachers. So it was part of the teacher training program. I prepared teachers for classroom practice, whether they were at the primary level, secondary level. At the university level, I taught with the University of the West Indies. Prepared educators, some of them principals, ministers of education, those who were doing the graduate studies. Currently, I'm able to juggle, I don't know how I find the time, but I'm able to juggle a multiplicity of tasks. So in addition to teaching at the South Louis Community College, doing the politics on the ground, and working with the people, I enjoy teaching English as a foreign language to people all over the world. So I have students from Chile, Mexico, Brazil, Egypt. I have students from Venezuela. I have students from Morocco. I have students from Afghanistan. And I was so happy to meet students from Israel and even Nazareth. Nazareth, yes.
So where do you meet all those students?
Online.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I work with a company from Germany.
I see.
It's brilliant.
That's in addition, in addition to your work at Sir Arthur?
That is correct. In addition to my work at Sir Arthur. So
I
this is something that I
understand why she says she wants where she finds the time. You know, but that says you're a very resourceful, industrious person.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you don't mind, I usually call you Farah for the purposes, you know, no disrespect to your academic achievement of getting to the highest level of a doctorate, and you being a senator, entitling you to the title of honorable. No disrespect, just out of familiarity, I will refer to you as Farah, if that's okay with you.
Absolutely.
Okay. Andre, you have the license, do you? So you... I will bring you some other time for us to talk education.
Yes.
And for you to tell me how I can register to improve my English. But for now, we want to talk about politics. You come from, and you have run as a candidate in a constituency called Denry North, which is one of the main agricultural constituencies in this country.
Yes.
Now, I know that your party, the United Workers' Party, has some SOS plans that I read out this morning. One of them has to do with a pension plan for banana farmers and so on. And we can talk about that during the course of the program. But I'm hearing some rumblings coming from your part, your neck of the woods. And Andre, I have a clip here that I will forward to you so that you can play for our listeners so that they can hear. And I will base some of my discussion with Farah on this. Okay? I will base some of my discussion with Farah on this because it has to do with banana farmers.
Yes.
Okay, so just give me a moment while I forward this to Andre for our listeners to hear. Now, it is an excerpt of a comment that I picked up in a chat group from a gentleman who is a banana farmer, who is very disgruntled at the moment, very upset, it sounds like to me.
He's not the only one.
Okay, and so, but I'm trying to find out what's going on, and I figure you might be in a better position than I am to know what is going on, given the fact that you're from the area, you're on the ground in the area. So I want to discuss that with you. But Andre, before we do, could you just play for the benefit of our listeners, you know, that little clip which I kind of edited to, you know.
Sure.
to set the basis for our discussion.
No problem.
Yeah, hello, good night. Yeah, monsieur. C'est Roman Hapakila. Bon, monsieur. Moi dit à la groupe nous va parler là, la groupe, moi ça c'est la groupe. Bon, moi a dit si ben ça yo pas harvesting. Pas harvesting si ben ça. Bon, monsieur, nous toutes femmes en venir ensemble et que nous ca descendre la caille lundi si bon Dieu veut. Pan cotine et la caille ouais on ça pas arriver. En disant caille la même ko yo pour faire business là nous empêcher là arriver. Si on met tête nous ensemble monsieur Faba. Oui. On met tête ensemble. On aller la caille ouais on ça ko faire business là. Laissez-moi qui ta la caille.
All right. So here's a farmer saying that this week there's no cutting. And he's prepared to, like the people who are in charge, I imagine, who are going to the office, they're going down to the office, and just like they cannot transact business, they're going to prevent them from opening the office and so on. What is really going on?
Okay. So before I get to that part, Spider, I want to say that, and you heard it from the farmer, and this clearly shows that St. Lucia is in crisis. It's not just a health crisis. There's a survival crisis. And when I say survival, I'm really talking about food security, food production, agriculture. Yeah. However, on our side, or from our own standpoint, we believe that every crisis can become a turning point with vision and sound leadership. And we have, in this election, we have a formidable team. We have a cadre of men and women whom I believe are competent and who are ready to serve. And they are being led by a visionary leader, our political leader, Honorable Alan Chasney. So we know that there is a crisis on our hands. And I want to term what is happening currently a national disaster. It is a national disaster in agriculture. And please allow me, and I'm going to show you why I say it is a national disaster. Over the years, Andre, we've seen that banana production has decreased exponentially. And the earnings, of course, have dropped significantly. So I just want to go through some numbers according to some statistics that I got from the government website. In 2019, St. Lucia exported 11,623 tons of bananas. And we were able to receive 18.2 million EC dollars. At the time, we were already experiencing some issues. So there was a drop in 2020 to 8,394 tons. But we were still able to make 13, or to actually, out of our export, we were able to receive $13.7 million from farming, from the bananas. But when we look at 2021, 2022, up to 2023, last set of figures, we only have 2,824 tons of bananas.
Okay, if I can interrupt you here, I would say that 2020, 2021, if there was any drop, I can understand, because there was something called COVID-19 that affected cargo shipments and so on. So, but you said 2020,
okay,
it only went down.
So from 2021, by
$5 million?
It went down. Yeah. So we also noticed an increase from 2021 to 2022, an increase of 535 tons. However, we did not receive more money. Our revenue did not increase. And now to 2,282 tons, and only receiving $2.9 million from bananas. Andre, if we were to do the math, and I'm sure those listening can do the math, from 18.2 million to 2.9 million, what's the difference here? 15, in excess of $15 million. We are losing. We could have benefited from. Our farmers would have benefited from. So that is a national disaster. The task force was established when Labour came into office. In fact, that was one of their campaign promises, that they would secure markets for the farmers. And the farmers, many of whom were fooled, said, well, we are voting for our farms, we are voting for our bananas. But today, it is so chaotic. And that is why you have people like Mr. Harper and many others who are afraid to voice their concerns, who are afraid to say what is affecting them. That is why we believe that something needs to be done. So the task force was established to investigate the issue and to propose solutions, okay, in terms of increasing production, access to the market, and improve the quality of the fruits, because we've lost the UK market, and one of the primary reasons we lost the UK market was as a result of the poor quality. Some may disagree and may claim that it is for another reason, but
WTO?
if the quality...
WTO? No?
If the quality, maybe even some here, if the quality of the fruit is not on par with what the people are getting from other countries, obviously they would prefer something that is of better quality, not something that is mediocre.
So you're saying, despite the fact that there was the preferential arrangements were removed, if we're producing better quality fruit, we could have still been competing with the Latin American countries?
I definitely think so. Because if our fruit is of premium quality, Andre, why wouldn't people or countries want to trade with us? But if the quality is shoddy, it's mediocre, it's not good, obviously they would, and you would do that too. You would, when you are shopping in the supermarket, you look at the different fruits, vegetables, and so on. You don't go for what looks a little bit withered. You look for something that is fresh, crispy, and so on. That's what you want to go for. And anybody would do the same. So the quality has been a major issue over the years. What did the Labour Party do? They have spent millions of dollars. I call it a national freeness. Because you know what? The farmers were just given money. Sometimes they were given fertilizer. I'm not saying that the input was not needed, because farmers need some of the implements that are required to boost production. So they were given the spray oil, they were given fertilizer, they were given lime to help boost production. They were also given money in their pockets. I don't know whether they used it for that purpose, to help resuscitate their farms, but they were given money. But what happened? Was that sustainable? It hasn't been. Has the quality improved? No. There are a few farmers, of course, who produce good quality fruit, but the majority, the quality is still questionable, Andre. And so despite the fact that all those monies were spent given to farmers and so on, and they felt that it was something that was so good, but Andre, without a strategy, without methodology, without a scientific approach to this, it couldn't have gone anywhere. And so that is why this particular farmer finds himself at his wit's end, and he's fed up. He's frustrated, like many other farmers. Andre, do you know that 80% of the farmers' fruits cannot be sold? They were given material to boost production, so they have the fruit. They have the fruit on the trees, but the fruit is there, and they cannot sell. 80% of them are not able.
So why not? Why not
to sell? Good question. But before I answer your question, I want to say to you also that this week, and the farmer is right. Not one farmer this week was able to harvest and to sell the fruit. Not one of them. Now, by way of information, we know that there are 4 entities in St. Lucia that export bananas. The NFTO, we know, all of us know that it is affiliated to government, and we have 3 other private entities that export bananas to the region. And Andre, it's my understanding that Trinidad is no longer buying bananas from us, from one of these entities. And we are being pushed out of the Barbadian market. So what's happening? What is happening? NFTO is trying its utmost to buy bananas from the farmers. I remember, was it sometime earlier during the year? I saw it, Andrew, with my own 2 eyes. And I have it on record as well. Bananas that were bought and meant for export were later discarded, given to some of the farmers for the pigs, the cattle. They were just taken and dumping in their vehicles. Bananas that were meant for export. So we understand that there is a real issue.
Okay, but just help me understand this. You're saying that we had Barbados, Trinidad, and other regional markets. But from what you said, it seemed that we've been pushed out of the market. What is causing that? Who is pushing us out of the market? What is causing us to be pushed out of the market?
One of the entities, I won't mention any names here, but one of the entities exports bananas, or should I say used to export bananas until recently, to Trinidad. And the Trinidad now says, okay, we no longer want your bananas. We are getting bananas from Dominican Republic. Of better quality, I don't know, maybe. Okay? And now...
No, but I want to interrupt again. Sorry about that.
Go ahead.
But I would have thought, we being CARICOM, we import a lot of goods from Trinidad. Shouldn't our government step in and say, hey, what's going on here now? We have trading arrangements and so on. Shouldn't we give preference and priority to each other? I mean, I don't expect you to answer that.
I'm happy that you asked the question, because this is... We need to begin that kind of conversation. Right. Okay? We need to be able to speak seriously about it. Speak to CARICOM, look at those agreements. And if we are buying so much from Trinidad, we are buying from Barbados, why at this time when we want them to buy our fruits, we are being kicked out?
Yeah.
So these are critical questions that we need to ask, and we need answers to those questions. We need to begin the conversation. But Andre, going back to the question that you ask, it is really about quality and competing with those other countries that produce bananas or fruits. that are so much better than what we have to offer. There are I am sure that there are other challenges that might be, that I am not even aware of, that might be beyond me, okay? But I believe, to a large extent, the problem has to do with support for farmers. We also realize that there is an issue with labor. There's a labor shortage in our farming industry. A lot of our farming population is aging, and we need to be able to address it. So we will talk about ways to resolve those issues in a while. But to go back to the point, we have to accept the fact that if we are to really resuscitate the banana sector in this country, we have to go beyond the regional market. We need to go beyond the regional market. The regional market, whether it is Barbados, Trinidad, Martinique, the regional market is woefully inadequate.
But what would be the point of going to the regional market if you have issues with the quality of the fruit?
Exactly. So that is where we come in, and the United Workers' Party, in addition to the pension plan, not the pension plan, the relief?
Well, there's a pension plan for retired farmers as well.
Okay, so the pension plan, there is need to design a comprehensive program that is going to look after not just providing relief, but improving quality, providing the training, modernizing farming practices, and giving the farmers the technical expertise, the field training in the field, all of those implements that they would need to not just boost production or improve quality, but to give them that access to the international market. We need to be able to do that. So we need to begin the conversation again with supermarkets in the UK. But they can only entertain us if our quality has been improved. So we definitely need to work on improving the quality of our fruits.
So what do you think is going on? Because you said a while ago the government gave farmers money. You even said that, right?
Yes.
In addition to this and that and the other. So what's the problem? What do you think is going on, Dr. Polius?
So that is why we need the Minister of Agriculture to come out and tell us, despite all of that money that was spent, giving farmers money in their hand, in their pocket, today, tomorrow, the money is gone. And all other things that they have given, nothing substantial has happened. And the problem has not been resolved.
And you also said something, sorry, Mr. Montour, that I think was the last week you said farmers were not able to harvest?
This week.
And what exactly happened? You said farmers were not able to do what?
They have not been able to harvest. This is why this gentleman, this farmer, is actually asking for support to go down to the reception center to disrupt what's happening there, because they are really frustrated. But you know what? The minister got wind of it. Sean Edward got wind of it, and he tried to keep him quiet, just to hush him up, because of course it's going to reflect bad. The very same minister who went in opposition, bon na dit ça pas toi, na une poile là.
Non, moi précise ça, nous en héritage créole.
D'accord.
So c'est pour toute manière, c'est pour nous parler anti pas toi.
Right.
Andre, I hope you can keep up with us.
Of course.
Il prend un commerce vieille figue, André. Il mettait sa boîte chimère. La pelle. Tant sa chimère pour te manger. Kamoutoué qui mène HTS. La pelle. Pour moutoué cet lycien. Condition chimère. Et condition figue. Parce que il était content ces femmes tellement. E ki ka mou chwe mounye, gouvernement UWP pate ka travay, e abandonne fama. Bo apwe zan chimè, the road is well paved. Même chimè, di pièson moun pa ka manje chimè. The road is well paved. This is the same minister who should today be out there rallying with the farmers rather than keeping them quiet. So now the farmers are really frustrated. They want market. They don't just want money. And you know what, Andre? Something that, and I'm not really surprised by what this farmer said, because 3 weeks prior to that, I heard him. I was speaking, I had a conversation with him. And you know what he said to me? Gouvernement sa chen la hayo. Ek banou market. Sani pli profi pou nou. It's more profitable to give them a market to sell the bananas. Because
I
they
just want to come in for a moment
Yes.
here, and that is very instructive, because I think they underestimate St. Lucians in that they believe St. Lucians don't understand what is happening. Andre, you asked a question a while ago. What the government is doing right now is just dishing out money to catch votes. It is not investing our scarce resources, for an improvement in the industry and in our economy. So when they just go around giving money to farmers, it's like they do you a personal favor. But what becomes of the farmer? Is that sustainable? It's just like the youth economy. They've given to over 1,000 young people. Just give them out money. Andre, I challenge you to show me 1,000 businesses. I challenge you. So that is just wasting resources. That's what it is. And I'm not against providing for people who are in need, but there's a way to do it. You don't just waste the country's resources in an unsustainable way. Sorry about the interruption. Let's
so
continue.
there is need to approach this methodically, empirically, Andre. Otherwise, we are just spinning top in mud. And the farmers will continue to express their frustration. Our food security will continue to be an issue. And when we believe that we are saving livelihoods, we are destroying livelihoods. So I want to say to the minister responsible for agriculture, I know perhaps they are meeting sometime this week to address the issue, but they have had so many meetings, and I don't even know what became of the task force. Whether it was just, putting a few guys in place, just jobs for the boys, and nothing came out of it. There was nothing meaningful coming out of this task force. So I want to say to him, please, address for once and for all, if you do not have it yet, maybe you can begin to have consultations with us. Let us work on a strategic program to resuscitate the banana industry and to give the farmers something that they can live on and look forward to.
Any idea as to how many active banana farmers we have in St. Lucia? Any idea?
I am not sure, Andrew.
You think it's in the hundreds or
from the top of my head?
Mr. Mantul, what do you think?
Do we think good?
How many active banana farmers we have in St. Lucia? Any idea?
I have no idea. No.
What I know is that
it has reduced significantly.
Oh yes, the number has plummeted. We know that for a fact.
Because
many farms have been abandoned.
When I purchased my farm a few years ago, it was a banana farm, but I know nothing about bananas, Andre, so I replanted my farm with coconuts and citrus and other stuff. But around me, there were quite a few banana farmers, most of whom have gone out of bananas.
Yeah.
Okay, so there were 2 guys above me who went out of bananas. A guy, there are very few people in the area in Sarat, where I am, called Malze. Very few people do bananas now. I mean, and even some of the farms are even almost abandoned, so much so that we have snakes. Well, some of the guys are telling me it's tetchin, not snake and whatever. I don't know the difference, Andre.
The featherless and the boa.
All of them long and looking dangerous to me.
Right behind my house.
You know, with all the bush that there is now, we have endless of those boa constrictors and other snakes around now. You know, that is what agriculture has become in St. Lucia today. You know? And so they have now, so much so that the government has brought forward a policy in health where they're giving free treatment for snake bites. That is an indication that snake bites has become an issue in St. Lucia. Okay? I mean, we always knew we had snakes in politics, but you know, I mean, to have snakes all over the place near farms and so on, that is an indictment on the government. But then again, I think Guy Joseph explained it best.
Not just near the farms, but near your house.
Yeah.
Near your house.
Right.
You said you have some near your house, right?
Not just near the house, under the house. Under the house, and I don't know if I should say that on this show, but I don't know. I didn't want to be killed by it, so I killed it myself.
Well, you are doing a lot better.
I killed it myself.
Farrah's doing a lot better than me, Andre. They're safe with me because once I see them, I'm not there. You know, and I'm hearing of sightings around my farm.
Not the boa, the featherless.
Yeah.
The boa, I just, I take pictures, I chase it so it goes away and so on. I know the difference between the two. That used to be my greatest phobia, but being among them, coexisting with them, I have learned the difference, and I can tell, if it's a featherless. A featherless will try to attack you, or it will, try to run.
So you actually took on a featherless yourself?
Yeah, I took it on myself. There was nobody else.
Wow.
And when I was done, I went in, I took my camera, my phone, and I took a grabber. There's something to actually hold it, and took some pictures of it.
Wow.
Andre.
Yeah.
Well, I'll call you.
So this is to show, Andre, that this that there is a real problem on our farms, with our farms. Unlike before, the farmers use all those chemicals and so on, weedicides, that really kept them away. But the fact that many farms have been abandoned, they come in.
Well, two things. No weedicide, and there's bush. There's cover for them.
Exactly.
So they come closer,
They come closer.
Yeah. So, I don't know. But
so what do we do?
So I'm hoping, not hoping, I know that the UWP has plans to resuscitate the agriculture in St. Lucia, so much so that we know that there was that plan to tie agriculture with tourism and what we refer to as local export. So in other words, instead of exporting the goods to the people in the other countries, we bring them to our country and provide the food for them. And I know UWP is looking at a certain number of products, that they will concentrate on so that farmers can produce those in large numbers to satisfy the hotels, in the large numbers and quality to satisfy the hotel. I think that in itself will bring back agriculture to a great extent. And not to forget, banana still, it's not what it used to be, but it can still make a contribution to our national development, to our economy. But what do you think of the pension plan for banana farmers, for retired banana farmers?
Well, my mother is going to benefit from that. I know that so many people, and I have spoken to a few farmers, and they are optimistic. They are really optimistic. This is a plan or a program I remember that Sir John spoke about a long time ago. A pension plan for farmers. And some who thought that they were, they had the farmers at heart, discourage the farmers. Don't do it. Sir John is going to take your money and so on.
Typical SLP. Oppose everything that is good in this country, including independence, and now they're talking about colonialism.
Yep. And what happened? The farmers were left with nothing. Nothing. Many of them abandoned their farms. They depended on the children to take care of them, and don't even talk about health care. This is shoddy right now, and so they are struggling. I believe that this pension plan, it's the pension plan or the relief for the farmers, that will augur well for our farmers, particularly those who have not benefited from any kind of pension.
Okay, and I'm also hoping, and I'm saying so, because I anticipate that the UWP will form the next government. I'm saying everything has to start somewhere, and we must make a first step. That is a good first step. But I'm hoping immediately after everything is settled and the economy can be improved, that the United Workers' Party also look at fishers and vendors as people who in the informal setting in terms of work, who do not contribute to NIC, so that they too can be assured of a pension when they get there, when they get to the age where they cannot work anymore. So I'm hoping that consideration.
But Spider, the immediate pension plan or financial relief that we are going to offer to farmers, we have to let them know that this is not all that the UWP will be offering. It is really part and parcel of a comprehensive plan to resuscitate the banana sector.
Right.
Okay, that is important. And that comprehensive plan would include training to improve quality, providing the support that they would need, whether it is financial, technical support, and securing a market, so that the farmers, after they have been able to resuscitate their farms, and once production has improved, they will be able to harvest and sell. That is what the farmers want. They don't want the money in their pockets today and it's gone tomorrow. And if you speak to them, Andre, that is what they will tell you. I am not saying that farmers cannot be given some kind of relief, especially when they deserve it and they have not benefited elsewhere. They need it. However, that is not the end of.
And that's not sustainable either.
It's not sustainable, so we need to find something a lot more sustainable.
And like anything else, people believe in the dignity of work, and people rather, I believe in social safety net programs, Andre, for those who cannot do otherwise, the elderly, the disabled, and those who, are disadvantaged in one way or another. But I also believe too that a government should do everything to empower people to earn for themselves. The dignity of work is important, especially, when you are able-bodied and you can't provide for yourself, not to depend on a politician for handouts. That, I think, is a culture that is being cultivated by the St. Lucia Labour Party that we must be wary of. Because not only is it destroying the psyche of our people, it is also destroying our economy, because that is not sustainable to just take money and give away, rather than invest that money in our people so that they can become self-sufficient and grow the economy in the process.
And Andre, that sets us apart from the St. Lucia Labour Party. We believe in empowering people through training, education, the incentives that are needed in order for them to be able to do things for themselves, to fend for themselves, rather than just giving them a handout, giving them something today, and tomorrow they have to come back to you. Cultivating that dependency theory. We want our people to be able to feel empowered, to be self-sufficient, and not to depend on a politician. Every time you need something, you go to that politician for it.
That's a good time to pivot a little bit, and you're talking about...
just a quick question.
Yes, go ahead.
As far as the pension plan for the banana farmers, would the banana farmers have to contribute to this plan?
No. We are saying the retired banana farmers, even if they did not contribute, we are looking at the contribution they made to our national development, to the growth of our economy. They have contributed to our nation, so we want to give back something to them.
Okay.
So
and that plan, sorry again, is for retired banana farmers?
Yeah.
Okay.
And right now we'll encourage current farmers to contribute to the NIC. Informal people in the informal work industries like vendors and so on to contribute.
They contribute.
Because it's important that you do. I mean, when the money is in your hand, it's hard to do it, but later on you'll see the benefit of it. And don't forget that the NIC is a product of the United Workers' Party. You know, that's the vision of the United. We have always had the vision. And it was opposed, I must remind St. Lucians, by the St. Lucia Labour Party. But I mentioned that while we don't support just arbitrarily dishing out money just for the sake of winning elections, for getting votes, you know, we talk about there is need at times for safety net programs. And one such program is the caregivers program.
Whoa, you are moving to a tricky one.
And I deliberately mentioned that one first because, you know, they try to malign me about that program, about I fired people and all kinds. I never did. The contract was you know, ended, and I wasn't the one who decided who was reinstated. I will always say so. But what hurt them is the fact that I accused them of using it as a political tool to hire their people, you know, and that is what they try to, you know, run away, dodge by coming and follow the kind of smoke screen that they but I think St. Lucians know better than that. So let's talk about what's happening with it now.
But Spider, this program is a very good initiative, you know.
It is.
Because our elderly need care. And the loved ones need to find employment. They need somebody to care for their parents, their grandparents, and so on. Even children, those children who have some kind of disability and who constantly need to be under, you know, strict supervision. So we applaud them, the work that they do. It's a very good service that they are offering to our country, to our elderly. And they deserve to be treated fairly. They should not be deceived. So recently, Andre, I'm not sure if you heard about it, but through the government, through the SSDF, issued letters to caregivers offering what they called permanent appointment, effective October 1st. Permanent appointment.
And if it's a genuine program, I'm not against it. But it's a political
On the surface, it really sounds like a very good promise. Good news, and everybody was, you know, up in arms. Maybe some people were up in arms about it, but you know, there are many who felt that was really good. And I too think, if this is the case, then it is good. These caregivers are being offered a permanent position. Wow, great. But when you read the fine print,
the fine print.
The fine print.
Oh my God.
When you read the fine print, Andre, this is when the truth jumps out. This is when the truth jumps out. And I want to say that this is no good promise. It is a caregiver deception that is actually wrapped in probation and possible termination. Can you read it? Do you have it?
I think.
Yes. Can you read it, please?
Yeah.
Listen.
But you see,
and
Andre,
I want the caregivers to.
These are the things.
Listen.
These are the things people are not aware of. They don't know. And just a moment.
This is Meet the Opposition.
While I'm trying to find this,
Mr. Leonard Spider-Man.
But you know, Andre, if my name was Rick Wayne, based on what Farah just said there, that there were fine print. You know what I would have said? Well, I'm not Rick Wayne, so I won't say it. We know St. Lucians don't read to begin with. You know, so they know that those people won't even recognize that bluff that they pull on them.
So what? Yeah. So it's in the contract or something like that?
Yes, it's in the letter. You'll hear the letter, Andre.
Okay.
I can't wait.
It is the letter of appointment. The Cabinet of Ministers has mandated that the home caregivers engaged by the St. Lucia Social Development Fund, the SSDF, under the home care program transition from short-term contract employees to permanent SSDF employees. In keeping with the mandate of Cabinet, the SSDF is pleased to offer you employment in the permanent position of caregiver effective 1st October 2025. You will be paid a monthly salary of $1,250, which will be paid into your bank account on a date fixed by the SSDF. Your employment will be on probation for the first 12 weeks, during which either party may terminate the employment contract. Let me read that again. I don't know where that's coming in, but your employment, now these are people who have been working for at least 2 years already.
And they're still on probation?
At least 2 years, because the contract is 2 years. So those that are there now, they're at least 2 years. Some of them from many more than that. From since my time. Your employment will be on a probation for the first 12 weeks. 12 weeks is how many months? 3 months?
3 months.
3 months. During which either party may terminate the employment contract. A copy of your job description is attached to your employment letter. Okay? And I think that's the important part.
If you accept whatever, then you can sign.
Yeah.
If you agree to the terms.
The terms, yeah. The terms and condition, please sign and return it. If the employment contract is acceptable after reading the terms and conditions, please sign and return. So, there's a catch, Andre.
There's a catch.
So, why 3 months? You want me to tell you what my suspicion is? There will be an election within that time. After election, that's when they are going to do what they actually intend to do. So that is when, if they decide to put the hatchet on you, they're going to do it. Election is over. If they win the election, they fire who they want to fire. You can do nothing about it because you signed a contract saying that I have the prerogative of terminating your employment at any time.
Well, thank God that's a hunch you have, right?
That's a hunch. They said it in the letter.
No. You were saying the reason you believe, because
okay. Let me ask you a question. You have had someone occupying a position for the last 2 years at least. Pharaoh is saying there are some who are there for many more, which is true. Which is true. Why are they on probation? People who have been operating in that position for years, you're giving them a 3-month probation. Why?
But don't you think that if they were to do it across the board, that others who are there will say, hey, if they were to pick and choose who they want to make permanent, right?
No, you don't pick
that
and choose.
the others will get upset and say, why is it that this
you make everybody permanent. Everyone who is there, make them permanent. Because everyone who is there for at least 2 years. To renew your contract, it means you have served 2 years. So they say they're not renewing the contract, they're making you permanent. Why do you have to be on probation? Andre, because when you're on probation, they can, after 3 months, come and say to you, you did not satisfy our requirements, go. And they're also saying, even those that are kept, anytime they want to, they can terminate your employment. So, you telling me I have permanent employment, but Andre, under the contract, they were more secure. Because you could just send them away just so without good cause. But under this arrangement here, you can simply terminate it at any time. That is what they're saying. So you have to watch those guys. They're bluffers. They're deceivers. These people are not genuine. It's all about politics. So they come with that ploy for political reasons, to gain votes.
But don't you think that you should take a wait-and-see approach?
Wait and see what?
If what you say is so, that's really going to happen.
After you drown your shout.
No. Then you will take up the cause.
Take up the cause? I'm telling them, why do you come with those provisos? Why? Why? If you don't have ulterior motives, why?
It is a political stunt, Andre.
You know? And that is all the St. Lucia Labour Party is about, securing the victory.
But doesn't an employer have that right to decide to terminate or not terminate after a probationary period? Isn't that how it operates?
Let me ask you a question. No, not without cause, Andre. You don't terminate people without cause.
Yes.
Now, let me just say something to you. The government of St. Lucia should be the employer in St. Lucia who sets the example. Is that permanent employment when I can terminate you anytime I want? How permanent is that? Permanent until you upset me, or I, out of my women fancy, I just say, I just send him home? That is what is in
I understand what you're saying.
Andre, that's not genuine. Okay? That is not genuine. It must be seen for what it is.
Exactly.
And that is a political ploy, and we know it is a political ploy because they actually made a political event of it. When they had that meeting, okay, there were political speeches being made on the podium of the SSDF, which is a government-run institution.
Yes.
Okay? People making political statements about who should never, never, never be in office and all that kind of thing. That's highly inappropriate. That's totally unacceptable for a government to do something like that. In a democracy, you don't do that. You do not use state resources and institutions to advance your parties and political cause. And that is what Labour is doing. Using state resources to try to gain re-election. Okay? And that I condemn. And all St. Lucians should condemn. And for that alone, St. Lucians should make them pay and ensure that they do not win the next election. Okay? But talking about election,
and
but
that is what I refer to as the caregiver deception. Deceiving the caregivers. And I hope that they are listening, because I want to encourage the caregivers to take some time to read the letter. I know that it said October 1st, if it was effective October 1st. Maybe some of them have already signed. But if you cannot read, let somebody else read the fine print for you. And demand clarity. You need to know what you're signing. So the letter doesn't give any job protection.
exactly.
It doesn't give any guarantee.
But did you
for
hear them say that part? Did you hear them say it at all when they were boasting about permanent employment?
No.
You can go to court to get a loan, which is true, and so on. But did they mention that at all?
Nothing like that there.
No. Now, Farah, as a member, supporter, and advocate of the UWP, you are a UWP parliamentarian. I'm saying to you here on the air, when the UWP wins, that is a good initiative to make them permanent, but I want UWP to fix it.
Yes.
Remove that clause.
Yes.
That is what I'm asking for. Remove that clause. Because it is, give the people some permanence of tenure. Like you say, Andre, they can go to courts and get a loan, they can go to the bank and get a loan and so on. But make them truly permanent. The permanent idea is a good one, but make them truly permanent. And I am advocating for the UWP to do that. And you said, yes, I can see the UWP leadership having an issue with that. I'm going to put it to them as well.
Well, even better than that, you should advocate right now that the government removes that clause on behalf of those care workers.
Andre.
Why not?
Andre, I'm not in the exercise. I'm not in the exercise of trying to pull teeth, I just throw stones after the sun, hoping that I'll hit it. The fellas' policies and plans are clear. Mm-hmm. It is poor politicking that they're into. They're not genuinely concerned about the people. They're concerned about protecting their victory. That is what it's all about. After they have gotten the victory, they don't care of the people. They won a victory. They remove all COVID regulations. Over 400 people died. Mm-hmm. They won a victory. The Prime Minister made himself Minister of National Security. Hundreds of people have died every year. It's a new record. They say it is 61 homicides so far. Okay? We know it's 66. On course again to break in that record. Mm-hmm. What? These people care about us? They don't. High cost of living is only because election is coming. They've made a couple half measures to give us some reprieve. They brought down the gas from $16.50 to $16, when it should in fact be $14 or less.
Lots of pacifiers.
I like that, pacifiers.
Pacifiers.
Yeah. But Farah, I want to put you on the spot.
So sorry, you're not taking any calls today, no?
You want to take some calls? Yeah. But before we open the line, I want to put Farah on the spot. You were the last candidate for the United Workers' Party in 2021. Mm-hmm. In this election, we have a new candidate in the name of Bradley Marcel Fulgence. What do you think of, what is your view? Can you say something about that new candidate?
Mr.
As someone who is from the area.
Let me start off by saying that I am on the team as his political advisor.
Oh, so you endorse it?
Policy advisor. Okay. Of course.
Okay.
I say to our people that politics is not about an individual.
Thank you.
It is about the people. Now, Andre, I have given years of service to my community before I entered elected politics. Service. And this is my mantra, to serve people. It's not about me. It is about, this time it's about winning. It's about winning. And I support him wholeheartedly. I am on the ground canvassing, convincing people to vote, getting people to turn around and see what is before them, and not being fooled by the money that they dangle, in their faces, because that is what we see. The district rep has failed. He has failed Dennery North. On many occasions, he has failed. He was the Minister of Sports. Andre, I don't know if you knew anything about Dennery, the Mabuya Valley, where sports is concerned. Listen, we were on top. I used to take my notebook when I have exams, take my notebook, go to the stadium or go to Mindu Philip and so on, and there, while there is a break or whatever, that is when I would be studying for an exam, but I wanted to be there. Busloads of people would leave the Mabuya Valley, head down to wherever Mabuya Valley was playing, because we would bring home that trophy. My brother was a national player. Okay? Even in Dennery North, in the Mabuya Valley, we had lots of programs. People would flood the field, the playing field, on a Sunday. That was a common practice. Under his leadership, sports.
But he was Minister of Sports.
He was the Minister of Sports at some point, you remember?
Yes.
Sports disappeared.
Yeah.
They politicized it so much that even the council, the Youth and Sports Council, would dictate who would have access to the field, to do what, and so on. I played netball for the Mabuya Valley. The court is in disarray. But yet we see, multipurpose court I'm talking about, yet we see that the minister is setting up lights, putting lights in areas where there is absolutely no active sports happening, no active sporting activity happening. Okay? So we're saying, yes, those facilities, I'm not saying that they are not needed, but where are the programs to go with them?
Well,
where are the programs to go with those sports?
I can answer that,
No.
Sarah. There can't be programs when the money for the programs were taken in a loan from the NLA to presumably to build sporting facilities that cannot be accounted for.
Okay, well,
because the 800,000 that the NLA makes every month from the lottery is going to be to repay the loan.
well,
So you don't have money for programs.
I tell you that in Bradley Marcel Fulgence, and he has started it. He has started it, bringing teams, and they love it. Bringing the teams together, and having, just last week, he had, even when we felt, the weather was just not good enough, some teams still showed up, and the competition, the tournament went on. He has been bringing, the young people together, just revitalizing sports, football in Dennery North. And I know that once Mr. Marcel is elected, we are going to have not just, we wouldn't see a revitalization of sports, only sports, but we will see other things like uniform groups. I'm a former scout leader. We want to see our young people meaningfully engaged. They have too much time on their hand doing all sorts of things. So uniform groups, there are some scouts, some of the former scouts. Once you're a scout, you're always a scout. Okay, so I have already spoken with them, and they are willing to get it going again. We need to be able to do that. Tap into the abilities, the talents, the skills of our young people. And I know Bradley has been doing this, and he will continue to work with the young people. Sean has failed us. Now, he's Minister of Education. Come on, as an educator, is there any program anything that you have done in the Mabouya Valley to assist the students, the parents? Andre, in 2008, I designed and implemented a family literacy program. That was all my doing, coming out of my research from my first degree. Okay, because the parents really wanted it to get the to get involved in the children's education. I got funding from UNESCO, and I was able to carry this through. I was able to bring the schools in the Dennery North area together and to implement this program, primary schools. As a minister of education, what have you done for the students? And you only boast about giving a scholarship here and there. You are not granting them a favor. Mm-hmm. It is within the purview of any minister of education to look out for scholarships for the people of this country. But what have you really done for the people, for the students of the constituency? Nothing. But just to boast about how many scholarships is given.
Do you all have an after-school program in your constituency?
After-school what?
Because
an after-school program?
That's a program begun by the UWP. And the intention is to spread it, as time goes on. And I think it's a very effective program that helped, a lot. I know it was being done in Moshi, and that made a big difference, Well, Andre, let's open the lines so that our callers and listeners, and viewers can call in. They may have some questions for Farah. But
normally I give you some extra time, but we have a program now at 11:30, so that's why we have to end at 11. Okay,
problem,
so let me just give the numbers.
Let's get a couple calls.
Yeah, the fixed line is 572-9710. Fixed line 572-9710. Or the WhatsApp platform, it is 287-0971. WhatsApp is 287-0971. It may be a good time to put your headphones on, lady and gentlemen. We have somebody on the WhatsApp platform already.
Hello. Hello, welcome to
Bonjour.
Meet the Opposition. Go ahead and make a contribution, please.
Bonjour, Monsieur Paul. Bonjour, Madame Ferra. Bonjour, Monsieur Spider.
Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Bon, Madame Ferra, je connais tout bien. Je suis à Mabouya Valley. Je connais tout depuis que j'ai commencé à teach dans les Rivière School. Je changé si les moi été à l'école de Rivière School qui a commencé, mais mon cher là na chez les moi madame moi nous pas arrêté. Et nous pas parler about ces teachers qui est-ce qui était beau, qui est-ce qui était mauvais avec bail quoi. Bon, ou parler about Fama. Bon, nice every ou comme exemple en les bail Fama. Ou comme teacher et comme ça teacher juste un jour qu'on dit. Ou ça teacher et puis ou ka bail maman homo pour la caillou pour yo faire. Là où c'est maman il a pas fait homework puisque moi pas ça avec tout. Là on pas bail homework quand moi lever pour lever qui chade ka bat maman. Mais après ça pas ça encore. Les maman pas fait homework yo qui chade ka lembe yo ko. Bon. Là où dit gouvernement ka bail femme à l'argent avec la panicolité. Qui laisse ouvrir blâmer? Ou blâmer femme et beaucoup blâmer gouvernement. Puisque si moi prends là ou vinn au ti moi ou dit moi OK caillou bouze manger moi prends là pour manger caillou et prend là on fait ça ouvler puis ou blâmer moi pour ça et là nous pas parler à votre
bon bonne question ça
allez bon fini avec n'a sorti là nous pas parler à votre figue nous pas ni une qualité figue qui primaire parce que figue c'est ici puisque moi ici à Canada et n'a gain figue tous les n'a mangé figue tous les jours on a parlé pour la maintenant Guenicia n'a mangé figue tous les jours et Andrew is a question depuis les flambeauté là moi de ka couiller en le ministère de l'agriculture pour voir figue nous monter ici puisque c'est qualité figue là nous pas rien ici ça pas bon on dit dans ça nous on dit dans ça ouais ça pas bon even quand ça bâche là moi style ka couiller en l'air pour voir figue monter ici pour nous en plus merci pour nous marier. Bon, open question moi na bon chance à l'autre monde chance. Merci autant.
Merci.
OK. Ou demander si ou va blâmer gouvernement. Comment gouvernement passe à un point l'argent pays avec un bail moun dans la main tout bonnement pas faire assis oui côté que l'argent a servi pour raison ici poser servi. Là, ni agricultural extension officers, moun ka travaille en ministre agriculture, yo si posé, ka follow up, pour faire assurer. C'est pas nek bay moun l'argent tout bonnement. Ça qui a fait actuellement, c'est bay moun l'argent pour joindre vote yo, pour gagner élection. Yo pas ka fait avec bonne intention pour faire assurer industrial et d'ouvrir. C'est ça qui est problème là. Même quand yo ka fait en youth economy, nek bay jeune moun l'argent, si c'est jeune moun en ambition qui est sérieux, yo ka fait bien avec l'argent. Là, nous les autres qui ont mangé l'argent fini by. Moi, d'où ça à présent. Moi, assis en haut 50%. C'est mon qui s'ouvre l'argent, pas une pièce business qui a fait avec l'argent à présent. Moi, assis ça. Avec c'est ça, moi, qui dit que gaspiller. Parce que l'argent, ça a servi pour plus bonne raison. Pour ces jeunes gens eux-mêmes réussir et pour payer réussir. Mais là, on juste met l'argent dans le même monde. Sans faire assurer, il servir pour raison, pour qui il supposé servir. Ça, c'est pas d'abord responsabilité du gouvernement. Avec ça, c'est gaspiller dans le pays.
Okay, you have another call.
Hello, good day. Welcome to Media Position.
Good morning to the panel.
Good morning.
This morning I heard you talk about Monday Z. But let St. Lucia know an ancillary and canneries. Monday Z, when he served in the same government that you serve Spider, and you talk about the Toxiloville, when it was getting close to the election, they tell Monday Z, you remember the storm had hit St. Lucia, and they call Monday Z, the citizens of Ancillary call Monday Z, and they tell him they need water. Monday Z bypassed the people. He went to Millet on his farm to bring water for his pigs. Now he's a secretary.
But we can substantiate what you're saying there.
I beg your pardon?
I can substantiate what you're saying there. But
Yes,
so let's.
I was one of them that used to tell him, well, at the time, trying to help him with Oswald Augustine and telling him the people need water, how many tanks they need, and stuff like that. He bypassed the people and he bring water for the pigs to his farm. The whole of St. Lucia know that. I used to call Andre when he used to be at Radio 100 and to put Mondays in his place. And first and foremost, what St. Lucia need to know right now, I hear you talking about gas. A barrel of crude oil as we speak is $57.
Below 60.
And I am calling on Philip J. Pierre, the Prime Minister for St. Lucia. Everybody Prime Minister. Mr. Philip J. Pierre, stop putting holes in people's pockets. Bring down the gas. Because you're not helping St. Lucians when you're talking about putting people first. Man, let me tell you something as Prime Minister. Behave yourself. Bring down the price of gas. Commodities in the grocery shop, supermarkets. That's the kill. You're not helping, and you're putting St. Lucian first. And whenever they try to tell you something about that, you're ridiculing people, you're laughing at people. Mr. Philip J. Pierre, if you have enough balls, all the election, and you'll find out. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, caller. Now, there are many other issues that we have to touch on with this government. There is this case with Ernest Hilaire. We won't have time to deal with that. But you can tune in to my program on Monday night where we'll take some time out to actually deal with the comments made by Ernest Hilaire in his press conference. The abuse of office and power, the attempt at every turn to intimidate and to, use their position to influence the outcome of even what happens in the judiciary. That cannot be acceptable, and that we will have to talk on as well next week.
You have another call.
Yes, caller, good morning. Welcome to Meet the Opposition. Please go ahead. Make your contribution.
Good morning, Mr. Montwood. Good morning, Ms. Andrew, and good morning, Ms. Dr. Ferrapolios.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Thanks for calling.
Mr. Montwood and Ms. Folios, you all were talking about the deceit and the deception and the dishonesty of the St. Lucia Labour Party with regards to the caregiver program. But do you know there's another program where there's a lot of deceit and dishonesty, and that program has to do with the nursing program? Do you remember the Ministry of Health under Musa Baptiste and Philippe, the Prime Minister, said to the young people that there is a shortage of nurses, student nurses, and that you can enroll at Arthur Lewis Community College. You will be on the bond for 2 years, and the government will give you a stipend. Remember that?
Yes.
Are you aware, Mr. Montfort and Ms. Folios, information which is factual, that's another lie? Because my information is that they're now telling the young people, the students, the nursing students at Sir Arthur, that they have to apply for the stipend, and it's not everybody that would be approved for the stipend, and that the 2-year bond that they promised them is not a guarantee that when they finish the nursing program at Sir Arthur, that they will get a job, they will employ them. You see the deceit and the dishonesty of the Senator Labour Party government. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the young people, the students, the nursing students at Sir Arthur now are in a quandary because they were of the belief that when they enroll in the student nursing program, that the government of the Labour Party will help them. Now they enrolled in the program at Sir Arthur. They are being told, no, it's not everybody will be benefited from that nursing program. You have to apply and meet the criteria, and then if you meet the criteria, we will give you the support. Yeah. You see that deceit?
Oh, okay, caller. I think we get the gist of what you're saying, but we, in the interest of time, we're running out of time.
Yes. Yeah. Let me just ask a quick question. In one of the SOS plans, that's towards Miss Polius. One of the SOS plans of the United Workers Party is that tuition will be free for young people at Sir Arthur Lewis Community College. What's your take on that? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, we don't have much time, but if you can give
I'll give you 5 minutes. I'll give you 5 minutes more.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you so much, caller, for asking this question. This is something that is not just timely, but many students have been looking forward to the day, and families. Now we're looking at low-income families, right? Because they are families that can really afford to pay tuition for their children. I work at the Sir Arthur Lewis Community College, and I'm telling you that there are students who do not come to classes simply because they do not have the money for transportation, or some of them tell you that they use the money to take care of the children. Some of them they're very young parents, and those who tell you that their parents could not really afford. Okay, so they have to make that decision. Some of them have heard about it, and they are really optimistic about it. This is a program that I strongly believe will not only guarantee a secondary student, a young person who has met the requirements to be accepted or to be enrolled at the Sir Arthur Lewis Community College, a tertiary education, but to give them that foundation that they need in order to be a lot more competitive in the global market.
And what is the SOS plan? What is that?
It is to provide free tuition to students at the Sir Arthur Lewis Community College.
Which by the way, will include the nurses.
So what is it called? SOS?
The 7 policies to save our St. Lucia.
Okay, gotcha.
Save our St. Lucia. Mm-hmm. I call it 7 from heaven. Those are the plans that will make us feel like we're in paradise.
Okay, we are taking a final call. All right.
Yes, caller. Good morning. Welcome to Meet the Opposition.
Good morning, Spider. Good morning, Andre.
Good morning
to you. Good morning, Miss Polius. How are you doing? How are you guys doing?
Doing well, thank you.
Fine, thank you.
Good to see you, Miss Polius. One thing I have to say, because I'm all about the farmers, and whenever I hear our farmers have a problem, I am, especially when it comes to the Valley, Dennery North, I'm very concerned, because we the people of Dennery North have suffered enough, under this SLP, and I still don't understand how the people can comprehend that. So what I would like to see is a drastic change and drastic measures, be taken when it comes to protecting lives and livelihood of farmers in Dennery North. When you see UWP returning to office, because it's high time the farmers be protected. Sir John tried it with the 5 cents or 10 cents on every pound of banana. I don't think that ever went into fruition. But however, we need to do something, because you look at our citizens now, our senior citizens, and you see them. These people, they work so hard, and yet still most of them cannot take care of themselves. Now they are sitting at home. Thank you very much. Have a good
day. You as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do we have time for another call? No?
No, we have to wrap up.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will.
Because then it will take 5 minutes to wrap up.
Right. I'll take less today. I will give you the opportunity to say your final words before we end.
Okay, so thank you so much, Spider and Andre, for having me here today.
You're welcome.
I just want to say to St. Lucians, those who are listening, those who are viewing, that your voice is your vote. I want to say to you also that you should not allow yourselves to be fooled by the empty promises made by the St. Lucia Labour Party. The money that is being dangled in your faces do not belong to the St. Lucia Labour Party. The money belongs to you, it belongs to your parents, it belongs to me, it belongs to all of us. It belongs to the taxpayers of this country. Okay? So if you think that you should just go ahead and take the money and change your mind and vote for them, you need to ask yourself, what exactly are you doing? Are you voting for a secure St. Lucia? Are you voting for a safer St. Lucia? Are you voting for better opportunities for yourself and your children, your grandchildren? Or are you voting simply because you were given $200, $300? The money is spent today or tomorrow and you forget about all the struggles. I want St. Lucians to think critically about what I've just said before you decide to just go ahead with the St. Lucia Labour Party. There are many things that are happening in the country. We recognize that there is need to replicate. We recognize also that there are things that really need to be strengthened. What do you want? Are you in a better place today than you were 4, 5, 6 years ago? Are you in a better place? I want to urge you to think critically about that, be conscientious, and vote for the future of your family, of your children, and the future of this country.
That means vote for the United Workers' Party. So I want to say, first of all, before I close, let me just wish everyone a very enjoyable Journée Créole weekend. Je vais souhaiter tout Saint-Lucien une bonne célébration Journée Créole weekend qui va venir. And next week, tune in to, the program that I promise you I will deal with, the Ernest Hiller matter, not media opposition, but like it is, and of course our other programs for the week. But let me just thank all of you who tuned in. Andre, let me thank you.
You're welcome.
For the role that you always play as devil's advocate, asking the questions that need to be asked, and so that people don't say I'm only asking biased questions. And let me say a special thanks to you, Dr. Polius, for coming on Media Opposition. We're certainly going to bring you back again because there are other topics we want to explore with you. I mean, whenever I bring Elisha, who is the spokesman for the party on education, I want you here as well. So let me just say thanks to you, and let me thank all of you for listening, and tune in next week for another episode of Meet the Opposition. Once again, enjoy your Journée Créole weekend.
So thank you, Dr. Polius, and thank you, Mr. Leonard Spider Montut. This has been Meet the Opposition. Join us again next week, Thursday, God willing, for another program from 9 until 11, right here on Rev-Up St. Lucia 95.9 FM. Well, this is the end of my stint here on Rev-Up for today, Thursday, the 23rd of October. Thanks for listening. We have Kina. She'll be with you until 3 this afternoon. From 3 until 5, Zen the DJ. Then from 5 until 6, we're going to be having Powell Politic. So, Andre Paul wishing you a safe day. Do take care of yourself. So long.